awakened by desire, a test of faith and love. Sister Clara's peaceful routine takes a shocking turn when she knocks on a door from her past, only to find Logan, her first love, standing on the other side. The connection between them is instant, reigniting emotions she thought she'd buried long ago. Logan, ruggedly handsome and brimming with unspoken longing, invites her inside, and the air between them grows heavy with tension. As memories of stolen glances and whispered promises flood back, Logan pushes the boundaries, challenging Clara to confront her choices. Shirtless and unapologetically bold, he asks the question she's been avoiding. Can you honestly say you've forgotten what we had? Welcome back to Silent Confessions, where the most intense emotions and deepest secrets unfold. Each story we share invites you into a world of raw passion, complex choices, and the unpredictable nature of love. Prepare yourself for a journey that will stir your soul and leave you questioning the boundaries of devotion and desire. The morning sun spilled golden light across the quiet streets of West Haven, painting a picture of deceptive serenity. Sister Clara, with her soft brown eyes brimming with untold stories and a calm smile that masked years of yearning, readied herself for her daily mission. She adjusted her modest habit, slung a small satchel over her shoulder, filled with prayer books and rosaries, and stepped into the cool morning air. The neighborhood exuded stillness, broken only by the occasional chirp of birds and the gentle clink of her rosary beads as she walked. Her footsteps echoed softly along the old cobblestone streets as she made her way from house to house, offering solace, hope, and faith. But today, something felt different. Her pulse quickened as she approached the last house on Maple Lane. The quaint home basked in the sunlight, its sturdy oak door and vibrant garden buzzing with a warmth that inexplicably unsettled her. Taking a steadying breath, Clara knocked lightly. The door swung open faster than she anticipated, and there he was, Logan. His name crashed into her consciousness like a tidal wave, carrying with it the relentless tide of memories she had carefully tucked away. The man who stood before her was both a remnant of her past and a mystery shaped by time. His piercing dark eyes bore the same intensity she remembered, but the rugged edges of his jawline and his slightly weathered features spoke to the years they'd spent apart. "Clara?" he murmured, his deep voice trembling with disbelief and something more, an unspoken desire that sent goosebumps coursing through her skin. The air between them thickened as their eyes locked. Against her will, memories surged forward, stolen glances in the shadows, nights filled with quiet promises, the ache of a love that had always burned too brightly to endure. Logan's lips tugged into a hesitant smile, breaking the moment's stillness. "I can't believe it's you," he whispered, stepping aside with a slight gesture of invitation. Clara's feet were rooted to the ground, her heart pounding wildly. Stepping through the threshold would mean stepping into an entirely different life, one she had shut the door on for years. But something in Logan's gaze, both tender and challenging, urged her forward despite her better judgment. The house enveloped her in its quiet warmth, the subtle scent of cedarwood mingling with sunlight that filtered through sheer drapes. Its understated elegance was unassuming but deeply personal, much like Logan himself. A cream-colored couch anchored the living room, surrounded by abstract paintings and books that revealed the man he had become. Logan gestured for her to sit, his movements hovering between confidence and nervous energy. The intimacy of the setting heightened Clara's awareness of how small the space felt now, how charged the air had become. "You're a nun now," he said after a long silence, disbelief flickering beneath his voice. "I never imagined you'd choose that path." Clara opened her mouth to respond, but hesitation tangled her thoughts. How could she explain that losing him had propelled her to this life of devotion? Instead, she softened her expression into a faint smile. "Life takes us where we're meant to go," she said, holding her tone steady though her emotions were anything but. Logan's eyes searched hers as though grasping for answers she wasn't yet ready to give. "And yet, here you are," he said, leaning back on the couch, his arm draped over its edge with a studied nonchalance. "Is this fate, Clara, or something we've been avoiding for too long?" His words unsettled her, stirring the embers of the past into a fiery storm she could no longer ignore. Before she could answer, Logan stood abruptly, his energy shifting. "Wait here," he said, vanishing down a hallway and leaving her alone with the ghosts of her suppressed longing. Clara sat frozen, her hands tightening around the strap of her satchel as if it could ground her swirling emotions. Every detail of the room, the warmth of the sunlight, the faint hum of life beyond the walls, the lingering scent of him, magnified her unease. Her breaths grew shallow as her mind flashed back to the way Logan used to make her feel alive, ignited, and utterly vulnerable. When Logan returned, her breath faltered. He stood before her shirtless, the casual intimacy of his display striking her like a physical force. A towel hung loosely at his hips, water droplets still glinting on the hard lines of his chest and abdomen. "Remember those nights at Lakewood?" he asked, his voice low and intoxicating. "I dared you to jump into the cold water, and you'd laugh, saying it would freeze you, but I always picked you up and carried you in anyway." He closed the distance between them in slow, deliberate steps, his presence overwhelming. "Do you feel it still, Clara?" he whispered, his voice molten with unspoken longing. Her cheeks burned, her pulse thundered in her ears. "Logan, stop!" she stammered, her voice trembling. "This isn't right." But Logan didn't back away. He knelt before her, their faces mere inches apart. He reached out, his hand brushing against hers ever so slightly, and the electric jolt that shot through her body unraveled every defense she had built. "Maybe it isn't," he murmured, "but can you honestly say you don't want it?" Tears pooled in Clara's eyes as his words struck the deepest recesses of her heart. She pulled her hand away abruptly and stood, her movements jerky with emotion. "I have to go," she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of her surrendering resolve. As she began heading toward the door, Logan moved to block her path. His expression shifted from confidence to desperation, pleading with her in a way that pierced her core. "Are you truly happy, Clara?" Logan asked, his voice trembling. "Can you honestly tell me that this life you've chosen, this distance from everything we had, is enough for you?" Her body betrayed her, faltering as her mind waged war against the pull of his words. Slowly, painfully, she raised her eyes to meet his gaze. "It's not about what I want, Logan," she choked out. "It's about what I need, and what I need is peace." Logan stepped aside wordlessly, his body slumping in quiet acceptance of the loss that had just sealed their fates. "I understand. I respect your choice," he said softly, his voice carrying more pain than he intended to show. "But Clara, just know you'll always have a piece of me." The vulnerability in his words shattered her. As she stepped back into the sunlight, tears streamed freely down her cheeks. Each step away from Logan's door felt heavier than the last. She clutched her satchel tightly, as if it could shield her heart from the ache that radiated through her chest. In Logan's arms, she had once felt alive, consumed by a fire she never believed could burn out. Yet she had chosen the calm after the storm. Her faith had granted her solace, a respite from life's chaos, even if it meant walking away from the most profound connection she'd ever known. And still, in the quiet corners of her heart, a piece of Logan would remain, an ember glowing softly in the shadows of her devotion. Clara had faced a test today, one of the most harrowing of her life. And while the ache would linger, she emerged with her resolve unbroken. As the golden hues of the sunset touched her face, Clara whispered a silent prayer, for herself, for Logan, and for the unshakable bond that would forever connect their souls, even as their lives diverged. Passion, temptation, faith, the threads of Sister Clara's story weave a tapestry of love and sacrifice. What would you have done in her place? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more stories that uncover the raw, unfiltered depths of human emotion. Until next time, stay tuned for more silent confessions. Who knows what secrets will be revealed next?